It was almost December, and Jonas was beginning to be frightened. No, wrong word, Jonas thought. I'm Linda Reef. I teach 8th grade language arts at Oyster River Middle School in Durham, New Hampshire. There are kids who are very talented as writers and readers who love reading and writing. There are other kids who are pretty limited. I mean, I would say I've got a range of kids from probably reading at 3rd grade level to actually high school, seniors in high school, that they're choosing some pretty sophisticated books. So it's a real range of kids as far as motivation and learning styles. What did the book make you think? What did it make you think about yourself? What did it make you think about other people? What did it make you think about the world that we live in? I've tried to make sure there's a lot of young adult literature in here, that I've got male protagonists, female protagonists in all of the books, that I've got classics, just a full range so that kids can find themselves in books that a lot of kids years ago said they could not find themselves in.
Throughout the whole course of the year, she gave us total freedom. We could sign out books from her classroom, we could get books from the library, but she really gave us no limitations. We have to be reading every day for at least a half an hour and responding to what we're reading.
Usually what I do is, for the whole first quarter of the year, let them choose the books they want to read. If they want to read Stephen King, and they'll say to me, "It's okay, I read Stephen King?" Sure. And because they know that I'm letting them choose books and that I value their choices, when I go to choose a book, they're going, "Oh, she let us read this. Then she might know what really interests us, so let's give her the benefit of the doubt."
Recently, she told us that we had to choose a book from a certain shelf in her room that had human rights books.
I'm reading Night by Ellie Wiesel, and it's about the Holocaust because we're doing human rights books. And it's good, but it's kind of like painful to read because it talks about all the things that happened during the Holocaust.
That's the piece of these kids that we don't see often, that's really empathetic and understanding of the way we treat others, and yet they don't think about it themselves until they've actually had that mirror as a piece of literature held up to them.
Today we did a different kind of discussion. Everybody had been reading a particular human rights book that had an issue in it. So everybody had different books, but we were able to share the book we'd been reading, what it was about, what we had been getting out of it, and what we had been learning about the issues contained in the book. And it was very enjoyable because I was able to hear about different books, and I got some book recommendations of some books that I want to read.
I was wondering why the white people are just so mean to the black people just because of the color of their skin, and I mean they're prejudiced, and I don't get the whole prejudice thing. I mean, they grew up saying black is bad, and when I was talking about it with one of my friends, they were saying how like white, we always think of like this color is green and this color is black and like this is yellow, and it will always be that color. And if somebody told us that all of a sudden this wasn't green anymore and that we were supposed to be calling it orange, we wouldn't believe them. We'd say, no, it's still green. And I was thinking maybe that they just are fixed into that view, and there's nothing that will ever be able to change that, even though the black people haven't done anything to them.
Well, most of the people that are racist, like their parents, drilled it into them, and they grew up like that. And hopefully they'll change the new millennium. But
We saw today that there were a couple of groups that seemed to be functioning really well on their own, but then there was another group that it just felt too silent to me, and I didn't see them really looking at each other and using each other's comments to add to or to question. And so then my role is to go into that group and see if I can get them talking. I mean, just to kind of be the guide who tosses a question out to them and says, "Tell me more about this." And how about in Daniel's story? Yep.
He's been through a lot.
Well, and how can you tell that?
Because, I don't know, he has, bags under his eyes.
He has bags under his eyes. What else? Anybody else? Katie?
Worried.
Worried. He's got lots of wrinkles in his brow. All we know is just from his face, he's carrying a pretty heavy weight. We are going to start reading The Giver this morning, so I want you to think about, where did this world come from? This is a science fiction world. Everything doesn't have to be connected at all times. But what I try to do, when I see, for instance, that, and I've done this for several years now, that the social studies teacher is studying World War II with the kids, then that's a perfect time for me to make connections with them with the Holocaust, with Japanese internment. I mean, when The Giver came out, that was a brand new book for me, and I never read that with the kids before, but I realized that, wow, what a great connection. Here's somebody who's trying to create a futuristic society to get rid of all of these evils, and yet something is going terribly wrong in this society, too. What else happens? What do they have no choice about? Yep, David?
Well, what their jobs are.
They have no choice about their job.
12.
Yep. How would you like that? Most of you are 13 or 14. You would be in a job now.
Well, I was just kind of thinking that in some ways it might be a good thing that these choices are already made for them, because at like such a young age, maybe they don't really know like what they want to do. Like I don't even know what I want to do, and having it be chosen for them, they don't really know what a bad job and a good job is. So I'm sure they learn to like it, or like I mean, some of the choices they're bad, but
some of the choices might not be bad. Absolutely. I mean, they truly are talking about you have an aptitude for this, and that's why you have it. What else, David? What do you think?
Well, just kind of along the lines of what Lauren was saying, but that it seems to me that I wouldn't like it if someone was selecting my job, even if it was based on what I liked, because I know between the time I'm 11 or 12 and when I get my job, my interests are going to change amazingly.
Those lit discussions become important because you can see kids actually thinking, whoa, I didn't get that, and then rethinking what they've seen in a text, or rethinking what they thought about a character, or rethinking about where they fit in with that particular reading that they're doing. So I think they need to hear what other kids think.
I think it's very important, the literary discussion groups, because seeing how somebody else interpreted the same book that you've been reading is very inspiring, because I never realized how much people can interpret from the same book. It's very different what everybody gets out of the same thing.
You could simply say like, oh, I don't like the book, and leave it at that, but discussing some of the reasons why someone else likes it and the reasons why you like it are just important, because, you know, like, I guess you don't really get the full feel of the book unless you discuss it with anybody other than yourself.
I want kids to be asking big questions of themselves. I want them to put themselves in characters' roles. I want them to say, where would I fit and what stance would I take if I were a character in this book? And what is this book making me think about myself and about the world at large and where I fit in the world?
Though he respected his father's work, nurture would not be his wish.
Jonas was the main character I identify with so much. He's one of my favorite characters of all the books I've read. He just goes through such a transformation. He changes from the beginning of the book to the end.
I'm glad that he knows what snow is like, and he's finding out what heat feels like, you know, because he really is missed out on a lot. And so many people who miss out on, I say, like, experiences like that really don't get, like, a true respect for life, I guess. And he is just getting it now. And I'm relating to him because I have had, like, different experiences. And then the way that you look back on the experiences, I guess, are like the way that it just makes you.
When you've got 45 minutes, what's the best use of our time? And is the best use of our time whole class discussions? Is it small group discussions? It's constantly looking at what those kids are doing and saying, and asking them, is this helping you grow as a reader and a writer? But do you ever have rules imposed on you by your parents? Yeah. But what's the difference?
They're more harsh.
They seem hard. You mean the ones in this book? Yeah. Amy?
And the ones imposed by your parents, like the rules imposed by your parents, they're based on, like, if you are a troublemaker, they could create a rule so that you wouldn't do a certain thing. But these rules are already there. They've already been created. So it restricts you even if you are a good person who doesn't break the rules.
So no matter what, you're all under the...
Yeah.
guidance of these rules. Yep, Katie?
And it seems in the book that if you break a rule, like if you don't do something, that you'll like get released or kicked out, and you can do it in your home. Like if you forget to do one of your chores, you're not going to get kicked out of your house or something.
Right, absolutely. What were you going to say, Danielle, for last comment?
Well, when my parents make rules, they respect how I feel about them. Instead of, in this book, they're kind of just set for you and you can't really, you have no say about it. But at home, otherwise, my parents really kind of respect what I want and they work around that.
Yep, which is a lot of what Amy was saying. You haven't gone and done something already. The difference is your parents take into consideration who you are and how much they trust and respect you. Absolutely. Okay, great reading and great discussion, you guys. We shall see you tomorrow, and don't forget the reading tonight. When kids tell me they love coming into the classroom, then I know good things are happening. When kids write in response to books in their journals, I can't put the journal down. I read page after page after page, and I don't want to stop reading it. When they write a piece of poetry that makes me cry, then I know that the classroom as a community has made something good happen, that kids can really take meaning to and from the reading and writing that they're doing.
Wasn't paying attention. It was from another community.